Everyone laughed when she married the poorest prince in the sea, but he was hiding something. Laughter echoed to the grand hall of the tide-born palace, sharp and careless, like shards of broken shells drifting in the water. It wasn't the joyful kind of laughter that celebrated life beneath the sea. It was cruel, dismissive, the kind that reminded one's soul again and again that she did not belong. Princess Ilaria stood at the far edge of the hall, half hidden behind a towering pillar carved from pole stone. She was beautiful in the quietest way, long flowing seeing hair drifting gently around her shoulders, soft lavender scales that shimmered faintly rather than boldly, and eyes the color of deep morning tides. She wore no jewels today. She never did unless commanded. No one noticed her arrive. No one ever did. At the center of the hall, Queen Maurice, her mother, sat upon the throne of coral gold, her posture rigid, her expression cold as the ocean trench. Beside her stood Princess Veilora, Ilaria's younger sister, radiant and adored, her scales blazing bright turquoise, her laughter ringing freely as nobles gathered around her. "Did you see how the currents bend for Veilora?" One court mermaid whispered loudly. "Of course they do," another replied. She was born blessed. Ilaria lowered her gaze. She had heard those words all her life, born blessed, and she knew what that meant for her. She was born wrong. From the moment she first swam as a child, Ilaria had been different. Not weak, but quiet. Not dull, but thoughtful. Where Veilora commanded attention, Ilaria seemed to absorb sorrow. Where others dazzled, she endured. Her father, King Thaurin, had once looked at her with something close to affection. But even that faded when the kingdom began to whisper, when alliances mattered more than kindness, when daughters became currency. Tonight, those whispers had become a decision. "Ilaria," Queen Maurice said sharply, her voice cutting to the hall like a blade, "come forward." Every eye turned. Ilaria's heart tightened as she swam into the open, her movements graceful but hesitant. She stopped before the throne, lowering her head respectfully. "You are of age," the queen continued, her tone devoid of warmth, "and the council has agreed it is time you serve the kingdom. Serve, never live, never choose." King Thaurin did not meet Ilaria's eyes. "There is a prince," the queen said, "from the outer reaches." A murmur rippled through the hall. "The poor reefs," someone scoffed. "The forgotten waters," another laughed. Ilaria's breath caught. "The prince is suitable," Queen Marie said after a pause that spoke volumes. "He has little, no influence, no threat." The laughter grew louder. "A perfect match for her," a noble sneered. Ilaria felt the weight of every word sink into her chest like stones. She understood then. She was not being married for alliance. She was being discarded, sent away so Veilora could shine brighter. So the court would no longer have to look at the daughter who reminded them of imperfections they wished to forget. Later that night, alone in her chamber, small by royal standards, lit only by drifting glowfish, Ilaria sat curled beside the window, watching distant currents swirl like restless thoughts. No one came to comfort her. No one ever had. The next morning, as preparations began, servants whispered openly, no longer bothering to lower their voices. "Did you hear? She's being married off to a beggar prince. At least she won't embarrass us here anymore." Ilaria passed him silently, each word carving deeper wounds. She met him for the first time at the edge of the kingdom, where the coral towers thinned and the waters grew darker. Prince Kalen stood alone, waiting. He wore no royal armor, no polished crown. His cloak was worn, his coral blade chipped with age. His dark hair floated freely around his calm face, and his eyes, deep steel blue, held neither resentment nor fear, only quiet understanding. He bowed respectfully when he saw her. "Princess Ilaria," he said softly, "thank you for coming." No one had ever thanked her for anything before. She didn't know why, but that made her throat ache. Behind her, she could hear the laughter of her family, already celebrating her absence. And as she followed the prince into the open sea, away from the palace that never loved her, Ilaria did not know this truth, that the man they called poor, the prince they mocked, The husband she was forced to accept was hiding a destiny powerful enough to shatter kingdoms. But for now, all she felt was a cold silence of abandonment and a deep, aching sorrow of a daughter no one wanted. No grand choir of shell horns echoed through the currents. No royal banners flowed proudly behind Ilaria. Only a handful of indifferent guards escorted her, their faces blank, already eager to return to the palace once the duty was done. Ilaria swam beside Prince Calen in silence. He kept a respectful distance, never reaching for her hand, never forcing conversation. His movements were steady, controlled, as if he were used to walking unseen paths alone. She noticed how the guards whispered behind them. "That's him. I expected worse. At least he looks harmless." Harmless? Ilaria clenched her fingers around the fabric of her simple wedding sash. When they reached the outer reef, a barren stretch of stone and broken coral, the ceremony began. There were no flowerfish, no glowing pearls, just an old sea elder reciting vows that sounded more like obligations and blessings. Queen Maurice did not attend. King Thaurin did not attend. Princess Veilora sent a shell bracelet as a gift. Cheap, cracked, thoughtless. When the elder declared them bound, the water remained still. No currents danced. No light shimmered. It felt less like a union and more like an ending. As they swam away from the reef, Calen finally spoke. "I know this was not what you wanted." Ilaria laughed softly, bitter, hollow. "I was never asked what I wanted." He nodded, as if he understood that truth far better than she imagined. Their new home lay far from the glittering kingdoms, a modest dwelling built into dark stone cliffs, surrounded by quiet kelp forests. It was safe, clean, but undeniably poor. Ilaria swallowed hard as she looked around. This was her life now. That first night, she sat alone while Calen prepared food, simple sea grains and algae broth. He served her first, bowing his head slightly. "You don't have to do that," she said sharply. "I choose to," he replied. His calm unsettled her. Days passed, and with them came whispers from passing traders, wandering merfolk, distant relatives who dared to visit only to satisfy their curiosity. So this is where the unwanted princess ended up. He must be lucky, a royal bride for nothing. Or unlucky, she brought her shame with her. Ilaria felt her heart harden. At night, she lay awake listening to the sea press against the stone walls, wondering if her family slept peacefully, relieved she was gone. Calen never complained, never defended himself, never corrected anyone who insulted him. Once, a merchant sneered openly, "You should thank the tide she was desperate enough to marry you." Ilaria waited for Calen to respond. He didn't. Instead, he simply met the merchant's eyes, calm, unreadable, and the man fell silent, suddenly uncomfortable, though he didn't know why. Ilaria noticed these moments, little things. How Calen knew the names of ancient sea routes no poor prince should know. How wandering guards bowed instinctively before catching themselves. How his presence made aggressive creatures retreat without command. Still, bitterness clouded her heart. One evening, anger finally spilled over. "You don't even care, do you?" she snapped. "They mock you. They mock me. And you just stand there like it means nothing." Calen turned to her slowly. "I have lived long enough to know," he said quietly, "that laughter often hides fear." She scoffed. "Fear of what? You!" A shadow crossed his eyes, gone as quickly as it appeared. "No," he said, "of what they do not understand." Ilaria turned away, tears burning her eyes, furious at herself for almost believing him. That night, alone beneath the faint glow of sleeping kelp, she whispered the truth she had never admitted aloud. "I hate this life." And somewhere in the deep currents beyond their home, unseen forces shifted, watching, waiting. The poor prince they mocked continued to play his role perfectly, but the sea was beginning to stir, and shame, once planted, was slowly growing into something far more dangerous.